Also, another thing that is important to address at this point, this notion of what happens as a coping mechanism, amongst these young men. So how do they deal? Because we are so poorly equipped to address these issues and to deal with them. So what happens is you have this idea of young men, especially when they feel anxious. Turns out that one of the quickest fixes for these young men is smoking. And I'm not talking about smoking, I'm talking about smoking, if you all know what I mean. Okay. And what happens is, yeah, you all know what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. So now what happens is you've got this. And now people resort to marijuana as a way of taking care of their anxiety. And by the way, it is true that marijuana really does help. It really does relax you. The THS in it and the other components, they really help either in giving you a high or giving you a low. But here is the thing about marijuana. Marijuana really works, but it works temporarily. Okay. And I'm not afraid of saying that marijuana works. I'm not saying this. The Quran is telling us this. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. They ask you about intoxicants and gambling. Tell the people that in them there is great sin and some benefits. There are some benefits to gambling. There are some benefits to alcohol. And we will not deny these. It is not wise on our part that we deny these benefits, because the Quran is telling us, very few things in life are 100% absolutely good and 100% are absolutely bad. Here the Quran is telling us that even in alcohol and in gambling, there is some good. I mean, imagine for $1 or £1, you win 100 million. Is this good? Yeah, it is good. And saying no does not make you a better Muslim, by the way. Okay. It is good if you win for £1, $1, you win 100 million. It is good. Okay. But then the Quran tells us that the sin in them outweighs the benefit in them. So marijuana really does work. It helps relaxes you. It helps people go to sleep. If you have, joint pain, it helps take care of it. For people who are going through chemotherapy or radiation, they become very nauseated, and it helps them. And we say that's all true. But then here's what people forget. You take it for anxiety. See, when people smoke, anxiety goes away. But when it comes back with more intensity, which now you have to up your smoking. You either up the quantity or you up the frequency of your smoking. And eventually, your body builds enough tolerance where the marijuana on its own does not work. So now what we see is people do marijuana and Xanax. No, marijuana doesn't work. I'm just going to do mushrooms right now. I'm going to go on a trip right now. I am going to go on. So what's going on is that your body builds this tolerance, and your body is craving for more and more and more. And eventually, the biggest loss is you lose yourself. And it doesn't matter what people tell you out there, marijuana is addictive. Ask anybody who's been smoking for 30 years. Ask anybody who's been smoking, oh, I can leave it whenever I want. It really doesn't matter to me. And the minute they start experiencing the headaches, the lack of sleep, the insomnia, the tension, the mood swings, the bursts of anger, now that's when they say, I just need to smoke, man. So these are what we call poor coping mechanism. Young girls have a tendency to cut themselves when they're feeling anxious or they're conflicted, and they have no way out. So the less we talk about these things, the poorer the coping mechanisms are getting amongst people, resorting to doing stuff that is really stupid, illegal, very, very harmful, has long lasting consequences and impact on the people. So it really is very crucial and very important that we address these issues head on, that we don't shy away from talking about them. I teach a class called Islam and Psychology, and it's a weekend long course, 20 hours or 16 hours long course, where we speak about, you know, we speak about the way that Islam addressed the whole notion of mental health, contributions made by Muslims regarding the field of psychology and what have you. And inshallah, we have a book coming up, and it's called The Prophetic Remedy for Dealing with Depression and Anxiety, where we go into details about the approach that the Prophet ﷺ has proposed, as far as, how do you take care of uh, the depression and the anxiety that people may be experiencing.